Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Builder Tutorials. This time it's going to be a PvP build. It's going to be a bit of early aggression into still a somewhat solid macro game, but I think this is a more dynamic opener than you might find in other PvP builds, as those provide that little bit of aggression, a little bit of scouting, and also still the chance to practice your macro game, so it should be fun. Let's get right into it. Put a pylon at 14. $16 gateway. Assimilator. Second assimilator. $18 gateway. Put 2 probes in each gas. Pylon. Cybernetics core. Send a probe out to scout. Fill your gases, 3 in each. Build a mothership core. Start warpgate. Build 2 stalkers. Pylon. Chrono warpgate. You should not be releasing any probes at this time, as you are fully saturated. Build another 2 stalkers. Build a Nexus. Put down a proxy pylon. Build another 2 stalkers. Move out with the stalkers you have. Build a Twilight Council. Start your probe production up again. And now you should be at least probing the front, if not straight up attacking. Turn your gateways into warp gates. Chrono your probes. Warp in adepts if the attack is going well enough. Don't forget to get not supply blocked. Adepts should try and shade into the main base. Get into that mineral line. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more adepts if things are going well. Warp in 2 more ad Start resonating glaives and chrono it. Build a dark shrine. Build a robo. And continue macroing. So the strengths of this build. It is kind of a surprise build, especially since you're warping in from a slow warp-in pylon. People won't expect it that early, but it can do a lot of damage. With any decent amount of micro, it can also force a Nexus cancel or a kill and put you in a really good lead. You still end up expanding, so it's not really all in, although you should be doing something, even if just containing them off of the natural mining. The Dark Shrine follow-up is one of many, so there's a little bit of variety in this build. But the Dark Shrine just gives further pressure and safety against potential counters, because once you had to pack up and go home if you aren't able to kill the Nexus, or you do kill the Nexus and they have to, all in you, you're going to want something a little more substantial, but whether it's DTs or not, just make sure you get that second pylon if you see an attack coming, and get ready to photon overcharge the front. And Adept attacking the main base will also provide you some scouting, so you can see what they're doing as well, Stargate, Robo, what have you. The weaknesses of this build is that any miss micro can make this build appear very weak and useless. So if you lose your first 2 Stalkers in the war, and then you lose so much health in the next 2 Stalkers, and so on and so forth, that's really not a lot of pressure on that Nexus, and they're just gonna get away with the Nexus, and you're gonna be kind of screwed. You're gonna be maybe with a decent economy, but with not a lot of army units, it might just die. So be careful. This is also suggested because of this. It's suggested more for advanced Protoss players. People who are actually very used to the Protoss race will be able to assess the situation a little bit better. Of course, they'll know how to migrate the units as well, and they'll know also what to look for when they see what their opponent is doing. So it's something you can do if you just want to have a little bit more to do in the early game, other than just like a straight up macro build, but maybe you should hold off if you just want to learn Protoss. And the inability to inflict damage could result in putting yourself in a bad position. So again, like any miss micro, or maybe they're just really good and they defend against you, and you lose the units and you overcommit with this, you could be behind tech-wise, and that could be a problem. So for the tips and tricks, as always, as a Protoss player, place pylons around the base at early to mid-game to deflect oracles, specifically in this case, so that's kind of a triangle around the main is usually your ideal, unless you suspected an incoming attack at the front and then maybe a pylon at the front, then get back to your main base. Adepts can be used to scout and attack. With the recent Shade nerf, it's very hard to scout with them, but even seeing what army units are attacking them, or if they have a mothership core, or maybe they will get lucky and actually see the real, the actual tech structure, it still is a little bit of scouting if you shade them into that main base. If you kill your opponent's Nexus, you can warp in a sentry and contain an opponent on one base. This is like any kind of Protoss trick, right? But if you think you're not, if they have a sentry and you can't push up, or there's just a little bit too many units up that ramp, then don't even bother. Just kill the Nexus and, contain them and force them to figure out what to do. Watch out for one-base CT cheese. The follow-up to Stalker aggression shown in this video specifically provides a later robo, so you would kind of be screwed, I think, if they went for like a proxy, or just basically one of the fastest DTs they can go for one base. Honestly, any amount of scouting early game should give you a little bit of the heebie-jeebies, and you should be like kind of figuring what's up, and you should be able to adapt the build. But again, if you're not really comfortable in PvP, you might miss out on that without knowing to look for it. And last, Blink can be researched instead of resonating glaives. I guess technically Charge could be too, but I don't know if I would suggest it. But keep in mind what composition you want for the later stage of the game, basically. So if you are going to go into Charge Lot Archon, then more power to you. If you're going to go to Mass Adepts, then sure. And if you want to go for Blink Stalker Disruptor, the more standard macro composition, then that's the way to go. It's kind of up to you. And of course, if you like this content, then consider following me on this YouTube channel, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, supporting my Patreon, whatever. And also, go ahead and check out my other videos. Thanks for watching.